Welcome back. Let us turn our attention now to religions of Indian origin. Let's start with the Sanatana Dharma, also known as Hinduism, erroneously known as Hinduism, in fact. Is the Sanatana Dharma theistic? Well, yes, rather wildly theistic in that God is the only thing that exists in the traditions of the Sanatana Dharma. Is God omnipotent in these traditions? Well, yes. God is omnipotent. Is God all good? Well, yes, ultimately. There's a little wiggle room in the traditions of the Sanatana Dharma around that, but when you come right down to it, ultimately the divine is all good in these traditions. Is evil real, though? No. Nothing is real but God in the Sanatana Dharma. Everything else that seems to be real is just an illusion. And so, do we need an apology? Do we have a logical problem? No, we don't. Because evil is not real, it is possible for God to be all good and all powerful. And so the seeming existence of evil and suffering is not a problem, because they don't in fact exist. Who are the agents of evil in these traditions? Well, mostly demons and humans, but you need to put them in parentheses because they don't actually exist. Let's turn to Theravada Buddhism now. Is Theravada Buddhism theistic? No, it's not. The Buddha often, well, maybe not often, but is recorded as having said there might be gods, there might not be gods. Whether or not there are gods is irrelevant. And so Theravada Buddhism generally treats matters of deity as not important. It's not a theistic tradition. It chooses to be agnostic on the question. If there are gods, then the gods are also caught up in the wheel of samsara, and the gods are also in need of liberation. Are the gods omnipotent in Theravada Buddhism? Well, it doesn't matter. The question has no meaning because it's not a theistic tradition. Again, are the gods or God all good in this tradition? Doesn't apply. Not important. Because we don't know if there are any gods in the first place. And is evil real? Well, no. And so, because Theravada Buddhism doesn't hold to any corner of the triangle, we don't have a logical problem there. Is there an agent of evil? Well, there's an agent of illusion, and that would be Mara in Buddhist mythology. And of course, humans can wreak all kinds of havoc. Humans are often the cause of suffering, often to themselves. In fact, that's kind of one of the core teachings of Buddhism. Moving from Theravada to Mahayana Buddhism, is Mahayana Buddhism theistic? Oh, wow, what a question. Because Mahayana Buddhism doesn't have gods, although some varieties of Mahayana Buddhism have deities. So that seems to be kind of straining at gnats there. But in fact, the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas in Mahayana Buddhism function as deities. They function as gods. So, walks like a duck, talks like a duck, must be a duck. So technically, Mahayana Buddhism is just as agnostic about the question of gods or God as Theravada Buddhism is, but Mahayana Buddhism has deities, and it has Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that function as deities. So you know what? In parentheses, we're going to say yes. Yes, Mahayana Buddhism is a theistic tradition, or rather, the various sects of Mahayana Buddhism are theistic traditions. And feel free to argue with me on this. Let's go have a beer and argue about it, because I'm going to hold my position on this one. But as I said, still going to put it in parentheses. So, are the deities in Mahayana Buddhism omnipotent? Well, kind of, yeah. Ultimately, yes. Yes, they are. Nothing is going to stop the work of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas until all beings are liberated. Are these deities all good? Yes, they are hanging in there for the liberation of all beings. Is evil real in Mahayana Buddhism? No, it's not. It is an aspect of Maya. It's an aspect of illusion. It's an aspect of duality, which is itself illusory. And so, because we don't hold to all three corners of the triangle, we do not need an apology. There is no logical contradiction here. Again, agents of evil, humans, and Mara, who is the kind of the embodiment of illusion in the Buddhist tradition. So let's look at Jainism now. Jainism, Mahavira, the founder of Jainism, lived a little bit earlier than the Buddha. They were probably contemporaries for at least part of their lives, but Mahavira came first. Is Jainism theistic? No, it's kind of fiercely not theistic at all. There are no gods. There is no God in Jainism. It is. They sometimes talk about the gods of the Sanatana Dharma. It's part of their mythology, but ultimately, no, they don't believe in gods or God. And so when we ask, are the gods omnipotent? No. The question kind of does not apply, same as with Theravada Buddhism. Are the gods all good? Again, does not apply. And is evil real in Jainism? Well, I'm going to say yes on this one. Because of how they understand evil, which is really the fact that jivas, souls, are trapped in matter, causes us to suffer. It is an evil condition. It is certainly a very uncomfortable position. The religion of Jainism is really about the fact that these souls are trapped in matter and helping these souls become liberated from matter. It is an inherently dualistic tradition because of that. So is evil real? Yes, because the evil condition is real. But, we're not holding to all three sides, just one, basically, so we don't have a logical contradiction. Let's talk about Sikhism, finally, our final tradition arising from Indian soil, that we're going to talk about today. Is Sikhism theistic? Well, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Is God omnipotent in Sikhism? Yes, God is omnipotent. Is God all good in Sikhism? Yes, God is all good. Is evil real? It seems to be. And in this, Sikhism borrows more from its Islamic influence than it does from its Sanatana Dharma influence. And so look at here. We've got all three sides of the impossible triangle that we are affirming in Sikhism. So how does Sikhism solve this problem? Which of the classic apologies does it appeal to? And typically it appeals to free will, which is not surprising since Islam does too. So it's necessary for human beings to have free will. We must be able to choose the good in order to be good. Agents of evil in Sikhism? Not so much. Human beings. Human beings. All right. That concludes our discussion of traditions coming from Indian soil. See you back here in a moment.